Enjoy early access to ad-free episodes each week when you subscribe to Wedding Planning Podcast Premium in Apple Podcasts. Enjoy the show. Welcome to episode number 2 of the Engagement Starter Kit bonus audio series from the Wedding Planning Podcast. And congratulations! You are one step closer to designing the wedding that you want, minus the crushing stress, expense, and overwhelm that's felt by so many engaged couples. You're on the right path towards crafting a truly original wedding experience that prioritizes what you value the most, and to having the wedding superpower of being able to effortlessly tune out all the noise and expectations of everyone else. In episode 1, we reviewed the first key towards ditching the crushing stress and overwhelm that so many couples experience throughout their engagement. If you missed it, press pause on this audio because a lot of what we're going to review here today won't make any sense without the foundation that we laid out in that first episode. And if you've heard episode number 1, then you understand the shift that's happening right now in the mindset of engaged couples who are taking a step back to see the big picture and who are being intentional about designing their next steps. You know that there's a better way to approach your plans that extends way beyond the outdated online wedding resources that most engaged couples are relying on without ever thinking twice. And that's the first key that you need to ditching the overwhelming stress and anxiety that most couples feel throughout their entire engagement. Couples who spend way too much time, effort, and money on a bunch of prepackaged wedding traditions, products, and services that aren't even important to them. Imagine what it would feel like to step into a fresh new engagement season where you and your fiancé make confident, fun decisions towards creating a once-in-a-lifetime wedding experience for your closest loved ones, minus the overwhelming noise and pressure of everyone else's expectations. Imagine you have the tools and the resources to see your wedding plans unfold in a completely new light and to set the stage for life-changing results today, tomorrow, and well beyond your wedding. Take, for example, the bride named Kate, who I introduced yesterday. Kate got engaged and stepped into wedding planning much the same way that you and I did, into a fire hose flood of free wedding industry resources, bougie social media hype, and real-life conversations with friends and acquaintances that were full of unspoken judgment, expectations, and pressure. Pressure to book the best vendors, check off all the right boxes, and include and exclude all the right things. But Kate was able to tune that all out and to only focus on what mattered the most to her and her fiancé, John. She knew how to set and stick to personal boundaries, surround herself with positive, creative, and supportive influences, and when to pull the plug on toxic relationships. And she was able to do this because she learned exactly how to get her wedding planning mindset focused on her values and her priorities, not what the $70 billion wedding industry tells her she should value and place her focus on. Does this sound easier said than done? Maybe if you don't have the right tools, encouragement, and ongoing support. But for right now, we're going to focus on the second key to unlocking this exciting new way of planning your dream wedding celebration. You see, most engaged couples who find themselves trapped in endless feelings of anxiety and overwhelm go about planning their wedding in the completely wrong direction. They get engaged and they immediately turn to free wedding websites, social media, wedding blogs, and DIY sites to tell them what steps to take next. Some will even hire a wedding planner to save the time and energy of researching things on their own. And the wedding planner will reach into their trusty bag of tricks and they'll pull out the same exact resources, vendors, and recommendations that they have shared with countless other couples before. The result? Fast forward 6, 9, 12 months later, And your wedding is now a carbon copy of countless other couples. And what's even worse, you've completely missed out on a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. An opportunity to press pause and to have thoughtful and intentional conversations with your partner about what the two of you really want out of your engagement and ultimately your wedding experience. Here's a portion of a beautiful quote from former First Lady Eleanor Roosevelt. Not to arrive at a clear understanding of one's own values is a tragic waste. You have missed the whole point of what life is for. Most engaged couples completely miss this second key to a joyful wedding planning experience. And if you're feeling like up to now, your engagement has been about going through the motions, and you're feeling an inexplicable emptiness from the resources that you've found, then you're probably missing this second key to streamlined and stress-free planning. But exactly how do you first step into the mindset that enables you to confidently press mute on all that noise? Second, place your focus on identifying your top values and priorities. And third, sneak peek, much more on this tomorrow, carefully balance only your top priorities with the countless strategic wedding decisions that you'll be making over the next few months. I'm so glad that you're thinking about this now instead of a year from now, and permission to get really excited because we're going to start to see the magic that happens when all three keys come together. But for right now, as we focus on the second key, I want to run you through a quick exercise so that you can start to identify what your top wedding priorities and values are, and also how you can bring them to the forefront of your master wedding plan starting right now. In order to actually live a stress-free planning experience that results in a meaningful wedding that's uniquely you, every single wedding decision you make should be in perfect alignment with your top priorities. Now, keep in mind, there are a ton of people who can rattle off some of their top values and priorities, but are they really living in integrity with those values and actually incorporating them into their hundreds of wedding decisions? Are you and your fiancé taking full advantage of this magical season you're in by designing an intentional wedding celebration that reflects your relationship as a couple? Yesterday in episode number 1, we reviewed the importance of a fresh and positive wedding mindset that allows you to focus on your top priorities and tune everything else out. Let me tell you the story of Jen, who was incredibly excited after getting engaged and dove headfirst right into wedding planning like so many of us tend to do. Jen subscribed to every single wedding newsletter she could find, looking for as much free information as possible on money-saving tips, DIY projects, and ways that other budget-savvy couples cut corners to save thousands of dollars. She downloaded countless free wedding checklists and timelines so that she could be 100% organized and on top of all the hundreds of tasks that she'd have to handle in the coming months. But what Jen didn't realize until it was too late is that she never even took a second to sit down with her fiancé and to talk about their shared vision of what their wedding celebration would look like. They just assumed it would be a, quote, normal, traditional wedding, and they never even took the time to discuss their options. By the time she was 6 months into planning, she had non-refundable deposits down with a venue, a photographer, and a caterer, and Jen spent weeks in tears because they were $12,000 in debt over this cookie-cutter wedding that they realized in that moment they never even wanted in the first place. And sadly, Jen is just one of thousands of brides and grooms who walk into their engagement season with everyone else's priorities guiding their next steps. They rely on popular wedding websites whose not-so-hidden agenda is to make money to fuel a $70 billion wedding industry. They turn to internet searches, TikTok, Instagram, Pinterest, YouTube, friends, family, to answer all the fundamental important questions for them. And sadly, lots of these couples end up in the same place as Jen, deep into debt and without enough time, energy, or money to turn things around and start fresh. And I don't think that's where you want to be in 6 months from now. So, what does the second key look like in action? To start, you'll want to have a series of very intentional conversations with your partner about your top wedding priorities and values, both individually and as a couple. And you'll also need to outline exactly how your values translate into actions and how you can start bringing your one-of-a-kind wedding vision to life with your newly identified priorities reflected in all of your wedding decisions. So much more to come on that tomorrow. So let's recap. You've committed to a fresh, empowering wedding mindset where your priorities are the only thing that truly matters. Where your personal boundaries are firm, you're not afraid to say no, and you resist feeling judged for any of your decisions. You understand the importance of identifying your individual and shared values with your partner. And finally, you see the sad outcome when couples dismiss these important elements and try to jump right into the flashy bells and whistles of planning a wedding. And oftentimes find themselves in over their head, not to mention their budget. When you take the time to slow down and to get your foundation just right, you're able to make informed, intentional decisions that actually fit within the reality of your budget and your situation. And even more important than that, there is such a powerful shift that happens when your engagement and your wedding celebration centers around your priorities and nothing else. Right here today, you can imagine exactly how you'll make confident decisions free from overwhelm and stress, and ultimately design a once-in-a-lifetime wedding celebration for you and all of your guests. But there's still one key missing, and I bet you're starting to wonder, this is great, but how do we use a fresh new mindset and clear understanding of our priorities and values to actually plan our wedding? How does all of this translate into the countless big and small strategic decisions you'll make over the course of your engagement that will ideally result in an unforgettable wedding experience in 6, 9, or 12 months from now? If we get this far and decide that amazing food and an intimate small group setting are our top priorities, how exactly do we find the perfect venue, hire the right vendors, maximize our budget, plan and host wedding pre-parties and events, manage decor and entertainment and seating charts and music playlists? I'm glad you asked, because this is exactly where most couples are really motivated and really excited to check the mindset box, check the priorities and values box, and rush out and start making plans. But that's a mistake, my friend, and it's where couples get completely off track, eventually falling back into the stress, the overwhelm, and the old way of doing things, which messes everything up that we've explored over the past 2 days. In the next episode, we're going to reveal the third key to streamlined and stress-free planning, and it's all about the quote, good stuff, the strategy. Exactly how to approach things like finding your perfect team of vendors, negotiating contracts, choosing wedding themes and formats and colors, maximizing your budget, and how to bring this all together into your dream wedding experience.